All right, here we go. We have one of my hometown heroes. Oh, man, one of the greatest point guards of all time, Hall of Famer Gary Payton. Welcome to Vlad TV.
What's up, Vlad? How you doing?
Hey, man, I've been wanting to do this for so long, man.
It's all good. I'm here with you now.
We're finally here. We're finally here. Well, this is our first time sitting down, so I want to get into your whole story.
Mm-hmm.
Born and raised in Oakland, California. What was Oakland like? You know, we're talking about the 70s and 80s.
Vlad, you got to understand, I was born in the 60s, so me growing up and then having my mom, them be who they were going through the times of the 40s, 50s, and 60s and stuff like that. And I'm the youngest out of 5. So when I was born in West Oakland in the projects. Yeah. Didn't really know nothing about all that because I was a young kid, and then my dad got me up out of there when I was 4. But as I grew up in Oakland, it taught me a lot. It taught me how to be a man. It taught me how to be tough. And especially for what I was doing when I was in the pros, it wasn't an act. It was something that I grew up like. I used to have to go to every block, neighborhood, and be rough and be tough. And I can talk. But I had a lot of guys who was with me to protect me and do the things like that. But I would never say any other city that I was born in and grew up with, I wouldn't even take it away. The Big O is where it is, man. So Oakland is where it's at.
Okay, now you're growing up in Oakland with your mom and dad, and your dad actually had the nickname Mr. Mean.
Yeah.
I guess he never gave you a compliment?
Never.
That's crazy. I mean, as a father now, is it kind of weird when you kind of say it out loud? Because I'm sure you compliment your kids all the time.
Yeah, it's kind of weird, but I you know what? I really respect it because what he made me who I was, and he did that for a lot of people in Oakland, California that didn't have fathers, and he was the one that became their father. When he didn't give me no kind of compliment, it was like me wanting to prove to him that I can get better. And he wanted to get a compliments, but he just wasn't that guy, you know what I'm saying? But you'll know what kind of compliment he did because he'll start acting a different way and then start to be smiling with you and give you something and give me a little something here and a little something there and let me do other thing or bring me a pair of tennis shoes. That was his compliment. But he didn't want me to get comfortable. And that's what I like. He didn't let me get comfortable because if I had 40, he was like, whatever. You should have had 60. You know what I'm saying? So it was cool for me. And then the next night, I'll come around and have 60. So it was good. So, that was what I needed. I needed that type of motivation.
Yeah. Well, there was a situation when I guess you disrespected one of your high school teachers and he showed up.
Yeah.
And what happened next?
Well, that was a good one. I got slapped in front of everybody. You know what I'm saying? But that was when the day your parents could put their hands on you and nobody called the police. You know what I'm saying? Right. But my father was really, really strict like that. He would come up to the school and basically check me in front of people to make me know how to respect somebody, respect your elders. That was in a day or the time where you did something and you didn't want to see him. I didn't want to see him. I had a lot of friends that was probably outside at the school shooting dice or something, and they'll see that white truck come up, and they'll see my dad, and they'll run and hop the fence and say they didn't want Pops to see it. Same with me. I just didn't want him to call my dad. And she knew what to do. She knew how to call my father, and she called him on the under. And next thing you know, he walking in the classroom, and I knew I was about to get it.
Wait, not even on the court, in the actual classroom.
In the classroom.
He stormed the classroom.
He came in the classroom, and he said he'll be there in a minute. And I didn't know, and I was still acting a fool. And she was like, okay. And then all of a sudden, she didn't tell me she called him, and he walked in on the next period. And, it was all bad there. And then he told me to come over, and, he snatched me up, and, it was one of them things where my father just didn't care about nothing.
Okay, so your dad smacked you in front of the whole class, and everyone was just like, oh.
Yeah. You know how that, ooh. And you're embarrassed because you can't go out. You can't go out to lunch no more because they're going to be like, oh, man, Gary, daddy just popped him. You know what I'm saying? So you'll be mad at the other people and want to fight them, but if he come back, it's going to be another different story. You know what I'm saying? So I used to have to take it. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. I'd take it. But everybody was like that with my father. They just didn't want my father to snatch him, and my father wasn't really scared of nothing. So it was a good experience for me to grow up right way. Because you know Oakland, you can get caught up in them streets. And during that time, it was really bad. During that time, you can get caught up.
Right, because you're talking about the early 80s.
Uh-huh.
You're a teenager during this time. And I mean, crack, I think, actually started in Oakland.
Crack started in Oakland. You remember we did the what was the movie called? New Jack City. That was off of us.
You're right. Yeah,
New Jack City was off of us because we had a thing called 6-9ville.
Yeah.
Where they started up like that, where they was selling the dope and stuff in the houses, doing in the projects like that. And that's where it started. So we started at it. That came in about like 87, 88. Crack started really, really cracking. And we was, that's when everything was happening in Oakland. It was everything. And you would have to get out of it. We was trying to get out of it, and I was doing the wrong thing, hanging, doing with the wrong people, but that was just what it was. It was like that, but I had a father that always kept me correct. But then I had some guys around me that was like, yo, look, you're a hooper. Man, get out of here. If something gonna jump, you gotta go. And that was a big thing about that for me.
I mean, did you ever get caught up in anything? Any of those types of street situations, just being in that environment? Because your dad's not going to be around you 24/7.
Right, I did, but it was always I can get out of it. I can get away with it. I can get away. They'll get me and put me in put in the car and bounce out, and I'll do that. But sometimes, I was at the wrong place, wrong time, got snatched up, but luckily I didn't have nothing or anything on me or do anything like that because I wasn't a saint. People just don't understand it. I wasn't a saint. I could have got caught up in a lot of stuff.
Yeah.
But like I said, I had friends that would protect me in the right way.
So you're going to school at Skyline High School. Greg Foster was one of your teammates.
Right,
teammate, right? 6'11".
Yeah.
At the time, so you got this monster on the court with you.
Yeah. That was some good stuff there. Me and Greg was the 1-2 punch at Skyline. People don't know I didn't play my whole 10th grade year. I was ineligible.
Right, your grades started to drop at one point and you couldn't play.
Right, and then all of a sudden we changed coaches and Coach Fred Knoll, and he changed the whole thing. Greg was always that guy who went to school. His mom put him into that, and I was the one that I moved with my father, and my father moved different ways. He wasn't at home all the time, but he'll check on me. You know what I'm saying? But I had a lot of free time to do whatever I wanted to do. So me and Greg became real close friends. And we just started doing a lot of crazy stuff, man. It was off the court, on the court. But we was a good 1-2 combo.
I mean, were you considered one of the top high school players by the time you graduated? Or
yes, I was.
You were in the McDonald's All-American?
I didn't make the McDonald's. I didn't make the McDonald's.
Why is that?
I was in the top 50. During that time, you know what? They wasn't even looking in the Bay Area like that.
Ah, okay.
You remember we had the guy Terrence Mullins. Remember, went to Oklahoma. Chris Monk, who went to USC.
Yeah.
They didn't even make the McDonald's All-American. I think the first person that made the McDonald's All-American out of Oakland was Jason Kidd.
Which came later.
Which came later. So they wasn't really coming our way. You remember, they was back in the East and back in the Midwest where all the players was getting the recognition. But then I would go to some of them tournaments, like the BCI. We didn't use it. We didn't have AAU during that time. And I used to get at them guys who was about to be McDonald's All-American, and that's when I started getting really, really recruited.
Okay. So you graduate high school, and I guess originally you were supposed to go to St. John's?
Yes.
But you ended up going to OSU instead.
Right.
Was that considered a top basketball school around that time, or not really?
Yeah, St. John was.
Well, St. John's was, but OSU.
St. John, Oregon State was not. Do you remember they had fell off for a little bit? Remember in 82, 83 when they had Lester Connors and all of them, Ray Bloom and all them. They were number one in the country for almost 30 weeks straight.
Yeah.
So they fell off. And then AC Green had just left.
Yeah, he left in 85.
84.
Yeah, right before you arrived.
Right before I came.
Yeah.
And it was like, that school wasn't even in my mind. It wasn't even in my mind. I was going to go to St. John and play with Walter Berry, Chris Mullins, Mark Jackson, Bill Wellington, Willie Glass. I was trying to play with them to get in the Big East because they just got out the Final Four losing to Georgetown. So Conaseca decided to do something else at the last minute and take one of the recruits there. And it backfired, and then what I did was I said, I don't think I'm doing the right thing. So I let my mom pick my school. So when all the schools seen that I had decommitted, I had wiped it off, they start sending their scholarships back. And my mom chose Oregon State because of Ralph Miller, because he was more of a discipline like my father. And that's what she wanted me to be around. So I chose that one.
Okay, so you go to OSU. You stayed all 4 years.
Yeah.
Was there a reason why you didn't decide to, join the NBA early, or were they not really doing that?
Mr. Mean. He was Mr. Mean.
Oh, your dad?
Yeah, my dad.
He's like, you're
my
going to
dad
graduate.
wouldn't let me come out of school.
Ah.
He said he wanted me to get an education. He wanted me to be the first guy to come, first person in our family to get a degree and do the things and get experience of college. And I wanted to come out in my sophomore year, and he said no. And then the junior year came, and I was going to leave, and my coach, Ralph Miller, quit. But the coach who was really, really the one was big for me to even go to Oregon State was Jimmy Anderson. He was our assistant coach who recruited me since I was in the 9th grade. And he became the head coach. And my dad said, you're going to stay here and help him build his program and keep it right. And I stayed with him for my senior year.
Yeah, I mean, during that time, you became like one of the most decorated OSU players ever. 3 NCAA tournament appearances, 1 NIT appearance, MVP of the Far West Classic. And then in 89, you were on the cover of Sports Illustrated. And it said, Oregon State's do everything, say anything. Gary Payton. And I had you. I mean, how did it feel to be in college, to be on the cover of Sports Illustrated? You got to understand that back then, but this was before the internet, where Sports Illustrated was everything. And to be on the cover was everything. Mm-hmm. And here you are, still in college.
Well, that was big for me, because you know what? It put Oregon State back on the map too, because they came into Oregon State at Corvallis, small little town, and they stayed in Corvallis for almost a week and a half doing that interview. We were going around everywhere taking pictures, doing a thing, and then all of a sudden they say, we're going to put you on the cover. And that's what we used to get. We used to get Sports Illustrated. We used to go into the stores just to get Sports Illustrated, because that's how we kept knowing about everybody else in the world.
Yeah.
And when I became the one on the cover, that just took it to another level. Everybody started knowing about me. Everybody started knowing about this kid over in the Northwest. Dick Vitale got on to me. He started pumping it up. And then all of a sudden, I became the number 1 point guard in the country, and then was a consensus All-American, and then, that's where it all went right,
Yep.
Went right there.
Yep. So you graduated, you go in the NBA draft, 2nd overall pick, Seattle Supersonics.
You know what? Seattle had been recruiting me since my junior year. And Bernie Bickerstaff was the coach, and he had kept coming to the games. It was a little hop, skip, and a jump right over there from Seattle. And he always, every time after a game, he would point at me and say, I'm going to get you. I'm going to draft you, no matter what. They got lucky that year, too. Just got lucky. I heard that they tanked the season to get into the draft because they were 41-41. When the last time I looked at them on the thing, they were like 41 and like 34 or something. They lost 8 straight games in a row almost.
Yeah.
And they came and got me. And what was so crazy about it, their chances were 17% to get in the top 3. And they had already told them that I was going to go either 1 or 2 in the draft. And the ball came up, and that 17% came to them, and they got the number 2 pick. So they were worried about New Jersey getting drafting me because New Jersey wanted a point guard or a big man, and they wanted to do that. And so happened Derek Coleman was that big man coming out of Syracuse. And I just told him to pick Derek, you know what I'm saying, because I wanted to stay on the West Coast. And they were like, well, we don't know. We don't know. And then my agent went in there and said, if he gets drafted, we're not coming. So they decided to take Derek Coleman, and Seattle, they was like, you know who you going, where you going. So it was good.
So now you're in the NBA. What was it like to step on that court the first time? Because, you were a star in high school, you're a star in college, but now this is a whole different ballgame. You're with the best players on the planet.
Mm-hmm. Vlad, that was crazy because I still thought I was one of the best players on the planet. But it was a joke because I got killed for 2 years.
Right.
It was really a joke. And when I went up against Michael Jordan and all them, I didn't understand, they didn't play preseason hard. They just cruised through it. And then when the season got there, he took it personal because I had like 20 on him in preseason. He didn't play. I was talking a lot of smack. The first game was against him. And first thing he said, everybody, I got the youngster. I got the rookie.
Wait, your first ever game was against Michael Jordan.
Michael Jordan.
Your
first game.
Postseason. Okay.
First regular season game.
You're now
against Michael Jordan, man. In my rookie year in Seattle.
Okay.
I played about 8 minutes. Had no points. About 2 assists or whatever. And he had 35 and like 12 or something like that. And he looked over and just said, welcome to the NBA. It ain't going to be that easy. And when you get into pros and you think that you were better than most people in college. The pros are different because they were the best people in college too. And they at your same level.
Yeah.
So you have to work. You have to work every year to get better. And I didn't do that. I was partying. I was like, I'd have made it. I'm from Oakland. I'm getting all this money. I'm doing my thing. You know what I'm saying? So it was a change, and I had to change myself. And when George Karl came there as a head coach, he changed everything.
Yeah, and I want to get to all that because I guess, your first 2 seasons, you even said it, people were considering you a bust.
Right.
Because high expectations, second pick, superstar, from OSU, and then boom, rookie season, 7.2, points per game, 3 rebounds, not superstar caliber yet.
Right.
Yet. Second season, kind of around the same, a little bit better, but right around the same. But things are starting to kind of move at this point. You had your son in 92.
Right.
Gary Payton II.
Right.
Was the plan for him to always play basketball or?
No, it wasn't the plan for him. I just wanted him to be around basketball. My son, it was one of them things where he was just there. And I kept him all the time. I kept him around basketball. He was at every event that I went to. As if people see, if they go back to that thing, it was always him in my hand. So that was what it was. I didn't expect that my son to be a basketball player. He was just having fun. And, that is just what happens when you be around basketball with a father who was me. And you be around basketball all the time.
Yeah. Right, because you have, and I remember you mentioned this at your Hall of Fame speech, you've got 2 sons named Gary.
Right.
You had a George Foreman moment?
I had a Foreman moment, man.
You named all his kids George?
Yeah.
So there's Gary Payton II and a Gary Payton Jr.
Jr., right.
Okay. All right.
So they're like, what are they, like 5 months apart? They're 5 months apart.
I didn't know that part. Okay.
Yeah, they're 5 months apart. So it's like, when I was dating my Gary II's mom, who I met in high school. And then when I got the NBA, I had a relationship with another lady. So happened they both had the kids in the same year. So it was like they both wanted to name him Gary. So I said, okay, cool. You could name one Gary Jr. and one Gary II. So it was one of them things where it worked out for me. I'm happy for that. I got 2 sons named after me. We can keep my name going on. So that's all I was talking about. Just keep my name going on. And just so happened one of my oldest son, Gary Jr., just had a baby. So we named him Gavin. So we still keep the GP too, GP too. So it's good though, man. It was one of the moments that I had during my time. Everybody goes through that when you get into pros, and it worked out for the best for me.
How's that conversation to tell both these women that they're having kids at the same time, a few months apart?
Very messed up. It's very messed up. And that's why after that I never messed up again with anything like that, because it's not fair to them. And I told my ex-wife during the speech in the Hall of Fame that she stuck through a lot of stuff with me.
Yeah.
You know, that one situation. So I always think about when you're in the pros, you get a different mindset. You're making so much money. You think you're invincible. Then you can do whatever you want to do. A lot of us do it. And it is what it is. So I thought about it, and that's why I try to teach my kids to be a lot different. And my boys have grown up to do a good job of that. You know, they all, I got four of my kids. My daughter is 33. My son is 29, and the other one is 29. So they're both like that, and then my youngest one is 23. So they're just starting having kids. You know, so my daughter is married. She just had a baby. And my oldest son is the same way. You know what I'm saying? So, and then, you know, Gary II, who plays for the Warriors, he doesn't have a kid, and then my youngest one. So I taught him the right way to don't do things that I've done.
Yeah.
Think about it in a different way. You need to be very ready to do this stuff and think about other people's feelings.
And I think that same year you did a White Man Can't Jump, the movie.
No, I didn't. Everybody think I'm in that,
You're
but
not
I'm
in that?
not. I'm
Well,
not
why
in
does it
White
say that
Man.
you're in it?
They always say that, and I don't know why. I was in a lot of different other movies, but that one I wasn't in.
Okay.
Never wasn't in that.
My bad.
Nothing in that one.
Okay. So you're playing for the Supersonics. First 2 years, a little bit rough. And, you know, the coach is Casey Jones,
Right.
who is a great coach. Let's just put it out there. You know, I mean, he won 11 out of 12 NBA championships, 8 as a player, 3 as a coach. But I guess you went, you know, to the owner and said that you want a new coach?
No, what happened is that they were going to trade me. And then the ownership did this. They said, okay, we don't know why you and Shawn are not getting better. So they pulled us in. And as you got to understand, Vlad, when you got a coach who has won 8 championships as a player and 3 as a coach, you ask why. The reason why is because the Boston Celtics had great teams. And he coached Larry Bird, Kevin McHale, Robert Parrish, Danny Ainge, ML Carr, people like that who were already established. So you didn't have to have young players when that was when the generation was changing in basketball, in the NBA. You didn't have all the old school Magic Johnson, Kareem, all that stuff where you could just go and sit down and Magic would take over the
Just give
game.
him
Or
the ball,
Bird,
yeah.
here, just had the ball.
Right.
You didn't have that. So we were fresh. And when we were fresh, he didn't know how to relate to that. You know what I'm saying? He was used to getting older guys, just giving the ball, and we didn't know how to play the game. So you had to teach us the game. And when you got to teach us the game, it's a different story. And he just didn't have that in us. And we just needed a new guidance. It was nothing against Casey Jones. It was just that we needed a coach that can guide us. And he wasn't that type of coach to guide us.
Right. And here comes George Karl, who's considered one of the greatest coaches of all time. You know, he's one of 9 coaches to win 1,000+ NBA games. He was, you know, later on, he was coach of the year in 2012 with the Nuggets. But was that really the turning point for the Sonics when he came on board?
Yes, it was. I think when they went and got him from Italy and hired him, I think the best thing that Coach Karl did was went and got Coach Tim Gergerich from UNLV with Tarkanian. And I think Coach Gerg made us all. He made us all. Because he did the one thing that nobody has ever done. This was going to be our 3rd year in the league. He made me and Shawn go to every summer league and play in it, in the NBA. And we played in 3 that year. And when we did, we were averaging, Shawn was averaging like 29, I was averaging like 24, 25 or whatever. And it made us better. It made us understand how do we have to work and be tough with it. And we went the whole summer and just worked. We worked hard at our game. And then the following year, both of us made the All-Star game.
Right. You guys became the Sonic Boom.
Yes, yes.
I mean, Shawn Kemp considered one of the best dunkers of all time. You look at the all-time list, he's usually right up there at the very top. I mean, you guys are just a powerhouse together. Off the court, Shawn Kemp had a very interesting life. 7 kids by 6 different women, which is funny because in 2022, that's really not that shocking. Back then, people made a big deal about it, but you know, you got Boosie these days, who's got like 10 kids, 9 different women. Future, who God knows how many kids he has. Calvin Murphy, by the way, is the winner.
Yeah.
14 kids by 9 different women.
Yeah. And that's my OG, man.
That's your OG?
And I asked him about that. He just said, hey, I was having fun. That is what it is. You're having fun. And what people don't get, Vlad, is when you're so popular during that time, what's going to happen? A lot of women going to come at you.
Right.
And women coming at you. So during that time, protection and all that old stuff, man, using protection, man, wasn't in our minds. We wasn't in our mind. We'll just have fun and do what we have to do. And we didn't have to worry about getting AIDS. We didn't have to worry about all this other stuff. But it was happening.
And you actually did have to worry about getting AIDS.
You had to, but we wasn't never that knowledge on AIDS like when Magic. Magic is the one who put us on the AIDS virus.
Yeah, when you heard when Magic was HIV positive, was that like, oh shit? Like you start going through your mental Rolodex.
Absolutely.
The ghost of pussy past.
Yeah, you start thinking about, whoa, this is real.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And then you start reading up on everything and then you start understanding how it be unsafe, and you don't know what woman done did this with this person, you done did that with that person because you don't know if she slept with this person and doing that.
Right.
Yeah.
And the thing is about entertainment, and this goes from music and sports, you have girls who just will sleep with a lot of guys in the same industry. I would go on tour like when I was DJing. It's like you sleep with some girl in Australia, then you find out like 4 other DJs slept with the same girl in the same city when they were on tour. So basketball is like that as well. So when it starts to, when diseases start to spread, it's
because
crazy.
We were like saying if you get gonorrhea, cramp, chlamydia, or whatever. You know what I'm saying? You get that. All we got to do is just go take a pill or get a shot.
Yeah.
This wasn't like that. You know what I'm saying? So we had to be understanding with that, but it was just a thing that you grow up, you ain't had that many women that was going to say you was fine or nothing like that. It was just that type of situation.
Money makes you handsome.
Yeah. And when you get a bad one, and it keep getting bad ones, you was like, man, I can't turn that down. You know what I'm saying? It's like you can't turn it down. Right. So it is what it is, and we were like that. Nobody else was different. Everybody was the same.
Yeah.
We was in Oakland. We didn't see a bad one. We didn't see that. We'll probably see one bad girl. She probably had a boyfriend already, and we couldn't get her. But when we get in the pros, we see 10, 15 of them, and they giving it to you. You know what I'm saying? So it was just one of them things.
Of course. So then, by 1993, that's when things really start rolling for you. You guys go to the Western Conference Finals with the Phoenix Suns.
Mm-hmm.
That's where the glove nickname kind of came from those set of games.
Yeah, it was in the Western Conference Finals. It was like Game 6, and we had just tied it up to go to Game 7 and take it to Game 7. My cousin Glenn King called me on the phone. He was like, glove, glove, glove. I was like, man, wrong number, and hung up the phone. And then all of a sudden, he hit me back. He was like, cuz, don't hang up. This is your cousin Glenn. I was like, man, why you call me glove? He was like, because you got Kevin Johnson, like a baseball in the mitt, and a baseball glove wrapped so tight. And I said, man, that's pretty good, because I do play defense like that. And all of a sudden, it started taking off. The NBA got a whiff of it. They started putting out products over there. And then Nate McMillan came up with this one. He came up with this hand thing with the glove, and everybody in the stands, every time I get a steal, they would put this up. And we started making T-shirts, and we started doing things, and then I became one of the most popular nicknames in the NBA.
There you go. So that season went well. I mean, you guys didn't go all the way, but now finally I feel like Gary Payton is now considered one of the top players. The team is starting to gel. By 94, that's when you get, into the All-NBA team selections, 9 consecutive All-Stars starting in 94. There was a situation in 94 during the playoffs when you guys played Denver. You and Ricky Pierce got into it.
Right.
And I guess things started to escalate where I guess you guys start threatening each other, talking about guns and I'll kill your family and that type of thing. Like, what happened exactly?
Well, teammates are going to get into it, and we don't back down. Ricky was a guy, he was older. He was a guy that, he demanded respect. And I was a younger guy, and I was going to tell him, I'm not that type of dude that you're going to disrespect. I'm just not for it. You know what I'm saying? I don't care if you are OG, I'm going to give you as much as respect, but you're not going to talk to me like a little kid. And it just happened. He was talking to me like a little kid, and then I told him, you know, we could take it to other places if you really wanted to. You know what I'm saying? And, you know, I told him, you know, I'll go get him. You know what I'm saying? So it was one of them things where, you know, I took it too far. I took it to the farthest level. And, you know, he didn't back down. So I'm like, it doesn't matter if you back down or not. I can make it happen anytime you want to. And then we had a lot of other players who were more sensible to calm me down, and Nate McMillan, Eddie Johnson, all of them guys that started coming to me, and we said, let's just end it and, you know, do it like that. And I had to calm down. I was a hothead. You know, I'm from Oakland. I got guys with me everywhere I go. You know what I'm saying? So it was one of them things where I had to back off myself before I got in trouble. Because if I called to make the call and say, get it done, they were going to do it. You know what I'm saying? And get him practice or whatever. And then that would have been something that would have ended my career.
I just interviewed Gilbert Arenas. Look at that whole situation.
Right.
A card game that started getting too competitive, people started talking trash, then people started bringing guns just to play around. But next thing you know, it culminates in people getting suspended, people getting kicked off the team. Javaris ended up going to prison for a murder later on after he lost his NBA deal. And things can go very badly when you talk about the NBA. They don't really play that gun shit over there.
And they don't. And we had David Stern, who was really, really strict.
Yeah.
You know, he wasn't having that. And I had to think about it, man. Do you want to jack off your dream that you wanted to do to just to be tough? And that tough stuff wasn't really what's happening. I can do it, you know, long as he didn't put his hands on me or anything, I was fine with it. You know, you got to take whatever comes. And that's why my mouth started to be more lethal weapon during them times, because people get feelings. And if they can't come back at you, they're gonna blow up. And I think that I had to understand that. And then I started understanding that, and I let it go. Just let it go, because it wasn't going to do nothing but turn into something bad.
Right. And you're ultimately considered one of the greatest trash talkers of all time in the NBA. And I guess you would really get personal. You would talk about not only their mother and their father, but their kids.
Mm-hmm.
If they got into a DUI recently, you'd bring that up.
Mm-hmm.
You'd read the news about them. You'd research the person. Like, you really... But it was all strategic. It wasn't like you were actually angry at the person. You realized that by doing that, it would throw their game off.
Right.
And did it actually throw people's game off, like, consistently?
Absolutely.
Absolutely.
Because you know what? If they would have said it back to me, I would have been like, yeah, okay, I'm gonna get another DUI, and then I'm gonna go pick up your mama or your girl or your wife. You know what I'm saying? If they would say something about my wife, I'd be like, well, you was with her, I was with yours. So while you was with mine, I was with yours. So they didn't know how to go back at it. A lot of bad players get sensitive when they're in the game. And then you know what happens? They spend more time focusing on me than they spend focus on the game. And then they get out of their whole concept. And when they get out of their whole concept, I start excelling to here, and they start going down to here. Then they get in foul trouble, and then they start sitting on the bench, and then all of a sudden I'm going over by the bench, and it's like, how does it feel sitting over there? Because I done got in your head. You belong to me now. You know what I'm saying? So it was one of the things that I did it for a reason, and that's what the reason was.
At one point, you were playing Lamar Odom early in his career, and you were talking a bunch of shit about his mother, not knowing his mother
just passed. Right. And that was something that I didn't really want because it turned into something big. I heard he was over there crying, and he was really upset about it, and he wanted to come over. And I was like, well, let him come over. Whatever happens is going to happen, because it's not going to work. Then they were like, his agent got with my agent and said that he's very concerned about it. He was upset about it. And he told me about the situation. So I reached out. And told him it wasn't personal like that. If I knew your mom had passed, I would have never said anything about it.
Yeah.
It was just something that I was doing, and it wasn't nothing personal about you, about your mom or anything, because I have a mom too. And I don't want my mom, if she passed, people talking about her and doing things like that. And we resolved it.
Yeah, I remember I interviewed Jalen Rose. He's like, I think I texted you after the interview. And, Jalen said Gary Payton was the most hostile trash talker ever, and he'll fight you.
Well, the crazy thing is we got along. And so we were playing against them in Europe. I had just got to Indy. This was like 1996. I got traded there in the offseason. And just so happened we were on a European tour and played against Seattle 2 straight games. And all I know is this. This dude out there cussing at me like he ain't never seen me before in life. Like, I was just with him. I was just with him, Vlad, like 10 hours ago, having drinks. This dude like, you mother... I'm like, okay.
It's a strategy.
I'm like, got it.
He's trying to get you
Got it.
Trying to get you off your game.
Got it. And he's a player also. Think about it. So he's a future Hall of Famer. The strength of his game is defense and toughness. He talks a lot of trash, and he's willing to fight you. Right?
Right. On top of that, he'll back it up.
Well, it's just from the streets. I got into too many fights.
Like, how many fights did you get into in the NBA? Can you remember?
In the NBA, no, not too many.
On the court?
No, it was, about 5 or 6.
That's not bad.
That's not bad. Me and Karl Malone got into it. Me and Charles Barkley got into it. Joe Wolf got into it. We got into it with a lot. I got it with Earl Boykins, guys like that. Trying to, get into it. I got into it with a lot of my teammates. It was just me. I'm not backing down to nobody. It is what it is. You know what I'm saying? If I got to go out and I'm talking trash, that's what my father raised me to be. I used to go to every neighborhood in Oakland, like I said, and fight everybody. So my daddy used to say, if you come home and you got whooped, you better come in here because you're going to get whooped again. Mm. So you better go out there and do what you got to do, So that was just the way it was.
Well, as much of a trash talker as you are, you actually said there's someone who's actually greater than you. And that is Larry Bird.
Absolutely.
Or you said that not only would he talk shit to you, but he would tell you what he's going to do to you on the court. He's like, I'm going to shoot this from here. Boom. Oh, now I'm going to I'm going to bust your ass here. Larry Bird, of all people, you would think. But he was the truth.
He was, let me tell you something. People always talk about great basketball players. And they don't never mention him to be up in that round when they made the Magics, the Jordans, the Kobe's and stuff like that. But Larry Bird was cold. Mm-hmm. I don't think nobody ever could get out with him. You ask Magic. That's why Magic had a run, and he was mad when he had to retire in 92 because of what he was going to be missing with Larry Bird. Mm-hmm. And then you remember Larry Bird took 2 more years, and then he quit because he said his main guy who he wanted to play against is gone. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, they had video games, Magic versus Bird. That was the big rivalry.
You remember when Magic went to Larry Bird's town and they made the Pepsi, what was it, Pepsi commercial or something like that? Yeah. And they did all of that. Man, Larry Bird would shoot it anywhere. If you think about how many times he won a championship and what he was doing and what he was averaging, people don't understand. They was like, oh, he was slow. He wasn't, he was just smart. You know what I'm saying? He was smart and he can get it. He can get it done. He wasn't MVP all them times and all the All-Stars all them times for nothing. He could play.
So 1996 rolls around. Supersonics go 64 games. Record franchise. And then things are leading up towards the finals with Michael Jordan. Now, the two of you had been going at it for a while. I guess at one point he said, don't ever talk shit to Black Jesus.
Yeah.
And you said,
that I don't care about Black Jesus. I didn't care about none of that. You ain't gonna talk crazy or nothing. So I took it as a challenge to always go against him. He brought everything out of me. You know what I'm saying? And they were always considering him the best offensive player and me the best defensive player at our positions. So I didn't care about that. I'm not backing down. You play basketball just like I play basketball. I'm talented just like you talented. So I don't bow down to nobody.
Yeah, and you guys are roughly the same size.
Yeah.
Same height, same overall build.
Right.
Same position. Like, it's really like...
It's like a
right
clash.
there. Yeah, it's a
you
clash.
clashing. It's just two Rams hitting each other head.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? And he did his legacy. He won 6 championships. He was great. You know what I'm saying? But I still consider myself great. You know what I'm saying? As being a defensive player and doing that things and then can score. I think people just got misled because they were so scared of him as an offensive wide, but they never went back at him. And I think that's what my thing was. I had to go back at him to show him I wasn't scared because that's the only way you're going to get respect from him.
So here we are in the finals. You guys against the Bulls. Game 1, you guys lose, 107-90. Game 2, you guys lose again, 92-88. Game 3, another loss, 108-86. Did you feel like that George Karl was trying to keep you away from Jordan during those first few games and then switched it up like halfway through, or how do you view it?
I think that he was trying to preserve me because I was hurt. I had a torn calf during the thing. I tore my calf against Utah in the Western Conference Finals.
Right.
So it was one of them things, and then when Game 4 came, we were down 0-3. I was like, yo, look, just let me guard him. It is what it is. Let me slow him down, and then we can get everybody in a rhythm. And then when I slow him down, don't worry about me. I'll figure it out. So when he did that, I slowed him down. You know what I'm saying? And that's all we had. We knew we couldn't stop him. We just had to slow him down. We had to make other players do what they had to do. And that's when Pippen and Kukoc picked it up. But I slowed him down. And we won the next 2 games.
Right. You won Game 4 and Game 5.
Yeah.
And, I mean, during that time, Jordan had his lowest output in a finals game, 23 points, mostly because of you.
I just made it difficult for him. I didn't let him be comfortable. They were comfortable in their triangle, and I made it uncomfortable for him. And then that's when Phil started understanding that, we're not going to battle against him. Just take it to the side, let Pippen do the thing, and Mike got mad. He got mad about it. But there, it was what Phil needed to do. And then he wanted to guard me, but I was posting him up a lot, and I was getting things done. And then he put Scotty on me, and Scotty was bigger, so I couldn't post no more. So I had to bring it out, and it changed the whole environment of the game. And it was a good move by Phil, but Michael didn't like it. He didn't appreciate it because he wanted to take the challenge.
Yeah, I mean, after one of the games, when someone mentioned that, you were stopping him, he said, "No one can stop me. I can only stop myself. I missed some easy shots." Which is what he's supposed to say,
what
right?
he's supposed to say.
Right.
Yeah, that's what he's supposed to say. Even with the document, when it came out, and he laughed and heckled.
Right. At the last dance, when you spoke, he kind of laughed at what you said.
Yeah, I didn't care about that because that's what he's supposed to say. Because it's his doc, it's his thing. I wouldn't even respect him if he would have said, I stopped people or whatever. Because that's not what he's supposed to say because he's Michael Jordan. So that's just nothing but respect. And I respect him for doing that. I didn't have no problems with that.
Mm-hmm. Well, you guys win Game 5, like you said, 89-78. And then Game 6, you guys lost, 87-75. How did it feel to make it all the way to the finals and not win? First time ever.
It was just heartbroken because I thought we played not to win, just to survive. We just was there. We had already said, forget it. They had won, 72 games, and we had won, 64? It was only 8 games off. They were the number 1 team. We were the number 2 team. And during the season, we split. We had split with them. So we had beat them in Seattle, and they beat us in Chicago. And we wasn't like we were scared of them because we could play with them. And I just think that we played too late. We played scared. And I think Coach Karl knew he did too. He coached scared. And that was our main fault. If we'd have went out there and just said, let's go get it, I think we could have went to Game 7 or something and seen what was going to happen.
Yeah. Well, I remember, John Sally, who's a regular guest here, one of the things that he's always said that a lot of people debate is that he said that Scottie Pippen, not Jordan, was the best player he's ever played with.
See, the funny thing is, I think Scottie is more skilled than all of them. Scottie Pippen is probably the most skilled player I've ever played with.
Really?
Yeah. And his hands come to his shins, okay? Standing straight up.
But he just happened to be playing with Michael Jordan, so.
Well, this is the deal. Michael would turn him, Scottie would get the steal. Scottie would turn him, Michael was not winning until Scottie got there. Let's remember that too. They were losing a lot. Scottie got there, and the reason it was Jordan Pippen is because it's Butch Cassidy and the Sundance Kid.
You know, you've never played with them, but you played against them. Agree or disagree?
You know, I can't agree with that because I never played with them, like you said.
Yeah.
So what I think what John is trying to say, because John did play with them, as an all-around basketball player that can change a game, Scottie Pippen was that guy. Because he can guard everybody, he can score, he'll do everything, he'll make a big assist, he'll make the big block, he'll do things like that. I think that's what he was saying. The best player that makes everybody around better. And I think Michael was just a guy who would score it and make the big shots and make the big things. But I think Pippen, as what people don't understand is when we compare Michael Jordan and LeBron, it's no comparison with basketball players. LeBron was a better all-around basketball player. And that's like what Scottie Pippen was. And I think John is saying that, and I'll agree with that. Yes, he was. Scottie Pippen changed a lot of things for the Chicago Bulls. If he wasn't there, I think they would have won a lot of them games because he did guard the best player. He made the crucial plays. He got the crucial rebounds. He got the crucial blocks and things like that. And I think that's what John is really, really saying.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree. I mean, I think he just doesn't get enough credit overall because he's overshadowed by Jordan, you know, on the same team. Yeah.
Absolutely. And then you see that's why he was a little salty about the last dance.
Right.
Because Michael wasn't giving them the credit that they were really supposed to have, if that's what he's feeling. Mm-hmm. I think Scottie has gotten proven that what he was. He's a Hall of Famer. He's all of that. He's a top 50, top 75 now. All of us are all in the same boat. Mm-hmm. He's got his credit. He knows what he was. And I know what he was. And basketball players and people who know basketball understands how that Bulls team wouldn't have been a Bulls team without him on it.
Well, you've actually said that John Stockton was harder to guard than Michael Jordan.
Yes.
Because I guess that Stockton wouldn't react to your trash talk at all. He would just look right through you and keep scoring.
Like a stone face. But it's a difference between him. I got to guard him 94 feet. I got to think about coming off of picks, he throwing passes, he coming back, trying to steal basketballs. He always moving. He's taking charges on me. He doing a lot of things. I have to always focus on him. He only played 34 minutes. Mm-hmm. That's what Jerry Sloan played him. And then when you look up, he shot the ball 10 times. He made 8. He shot 7 free throws. He made all 7.
Yep.
Next thing you know, you look up, he got 16 assists. Then you think about it and you say, dang, he got 5-6 rebounds and he got 5 steals. And I look up there and I say, man, he got 27, 16, 5. I can't deal with that. And we getting beat by 20. And I'm saying, and I'm done played the whole game, and I got 30, and I'm trying to struggle, and we still losing by 20. Yep. You know what I'm saying? So it's a big difference. And I done played 46 minutes, and he played 34. Mm-hmm. And I'm struggling with that.
Yep.
So he was very hard for me to guard, and I used to hate going into Utah all the time.
Well, I mean, even though you guys lost that year, you still got the NBA Defensive Player of the Year award, and you won a gold medal at the Olympics on top of that. So, you know.
It was a big year.
It was a big year.
I take that. I take that.
It was a big year.
And then, you know, I got the big contract that year. You know, Seattle signed me. I was the first point guard to make over $10 million. So it was good. And I was happy with that. You know what I'm saying? I made first team all league, first team all defense. I did everything that year. And it was a big year for me.
Right. I mean, How did it feel to finally get a contract that big? Because when you signed, what was your rookie deal? Do you remember?
My rookie deal, I think it was only for like, 20 million, 21 million over 7 years. You know, we couldn't sign it much. It was only for $3 million a year.
Yeah, $3 million a year.
$3 million. I was making like $2.8 million.
Yeah. So after taxes, after your agent, your manager,
you're only making about
out.
1.9, 1.6. So, you know, it was one of them things. And then finally to start making $13 or $14 million a year was kind of big at a point guard position. Yeah. So it was really big, you know, and so.
I mean, by that time, were you, did you know how to actually invest your money and spend your money properly, or were you still just balling out? Because I remember Gilbert Arenas, he said how he spent his entire rookie salary before he even played and was sleeping in the damn stadium because he was so broke. He didn't have gas money. He had just spent all his money.
Mm-hmm. When they did my budget, I can only spend $500 a month for, that's gas money, girlfriend, 2 dogs. Like I don't have any money. So I couldn't even drive. I couldn't even drive back and forth to the arena. Yeah. So I had to stay at the arena sometimes.
You slept in the arena.
I slept in the arena.
A professional NBA player.
Slept in the arena.
Sleep was basically homeless. Basically take you back to the park days again.
I'm basically homeless, right. But I just couldn't afford the gas all the time.
You couldn't borrow from one of your teammates or?
No, the pride kicks in.
Yeah.
But that helped me because it helped me stay in the gym and try to understand what a professional is.
Were you more, financially sound, or were you just balling out of control?
By the time I came in '96, you were like, Gilbert is right. We had jacked off all our rookie contract. You're buying everything. You got all the Bentleys, you got all the cribs, you doing everything, you jewelry. I got 5 guys that roll with me every day. I had a posse. So it was like that, and I got them all cars, apartments, everything. They flying everywhere with me.
Isn't that crazy now, just as a grown man, to think that you had 5 adult men that you're essentially treating like your children? Mm-hmm. You're paying for their meals, their flights, their cars. And this is all your money just because you like having them around. Like every so often when I'm feeling full of myself, I watch like ESPN 30 for 30 broke to just remind myself not to get full of myself and see all these guys that lost all this money from having these large entourages.
Right.
Is it crazy when you think about it now, or did you actually enjoy the time?
No, it wasn't crazy to me because it was my guys that I loved.
Okay, fair enough.
I grew up with them in childhood. You know what I'm saying? And I told them to make them a better life, to get them to stay out of trouble and doing that. Because 4 of my guys, if I wouldn't have took them out, they would have probably been dead by now.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? But now if I look at them all, they all got families. They done did something. We started, my best friend Milton, we started a business together that's still rolling now. So we're fine. It's just that you look at LeBron and his crew. Look at all of them now.
I just think there's a difference between having a crew that's actually working and doing specific jobs as opposed to just having an entourage of dudes that are just there to party with you all the time.
And that was just the deal. But I think LeBron's crew got smart.
Yeah.
They had a plan. They wanted to make an empire.
Which they did.
And they did make an empire, and they still making an empire. Yeah. With all of them, with Maverick, Rich, they making an empire.
Yep.
They got it already. I wish that our crew would have been the same way. Yeah. But we were more into that because we were older than them. We way older than them, and they learned from looking at our crew and they say, no, that we didn't want to do that. We want to be that. I wish other crews would have looked at that and seen that. You know what I'm saying? Because they had all the tools like what his crew got. They had all the tools. You just had to know how to do it. But we were more into partying, and it wasn't working. You know what I'm saying? So I wish it would have been different than that because they all would have been at that level now of being that type of person.
Yeah. No, I feel you. So then by 1998, you got a Nike deal. Your first sneaker came out. The Air Zoom Flight, the glove.
Yeah.
Then a bunch of commercials. Mm-hmm. You had one with Evander Holyfield, right?
Yeah.
You were actually in the ring with him.
That was a beautiful commercial. Evander had just became a champ. Mm-hmm. He was doing his thing. And what was crazy about that commercial is when we went and I asked to get him because we wanted to show how the shoe was so fast. And he was fast and he was moving. And when we went in there and I started doing the commercial, Evander didn't like him getting knocked out because he was a champ.
Right.
He didn't want that. We had to make another commercial of him knocking me back out.
Okay.
But then we looked at it and looked on his feet, and he had my shoes on. So it was making him better and make him faster.
Right.
And it was pretty good. And I like that because he was marketing himself. You know what I'm saying? He didn't want people to say that a basketball player can knock him out.
Yeah.
And he was a champ. And it was a great commercial. I really loved it.
I mean, how did it feel? Because, by this time, Nike had just been cemented as the ultimate sneaker. And to have your own signature sneaker come out and, to roll around Oakland and see kids playing in your shoes. And, how did that really feel?
That felt great because then that really made me think that I've really made it. My hard work has came to a top here, saying that I got my own sneaker. I'm walking around watching people with my jersey on and my tennis shoes on and saying they was saving up their money to get the glove and the Gary Payton shoe and go in my hood and see everybody wearing my shoe.
Yeah.
That's even better.
I bet.
And it's a great feeling. And then I'm going to gyms and everybody got my shoe on. Mm-hmm. And that was just a great feeling to have that because I was like, all the hard work that my father put into me and I put in, now I can represent my town with people doing that. And it made kids say, I'm going to do the same thing. I'm going to be like Gary Payton. I'm going to get my own shoe, have it walk around and let see it in my own neighborhood.
Right. The shoe got retroed a bunch of times.
Mm-hmm.
And you still make royalties off the shoe as they come out. So it was really like a lot of times athletes, like yourself, make more off the court, with these shoe deals than on the court.
Well, Vlad, I think I'm more popular than when I was playing basketball now because of the Hall of Fame, because of the top 75 I just made and all that stuff. You get more popular because people want you. They want you, and then your personality too has to be a big deal about it. Can you deal with it? Can you be a people's person? And everybody knows I'm a people person. When I get to somewhere, I make the party the fun. I make it more live. You know what I'm saying? And so it's like I get more stuff now than I did. I just got blessed with somebody want to name a strand of weed after me. It's crazy.
Yeah.
Why in my picture on a bag of weed and I don't even smoke weed. So, it's crazy and it becomes the top seller. You know what I'm saying? So I'm just grateful of what was given to me. And I just make it happen because I think of the person I am. I'm hands-on a lot of things. I like to go to the stores. I like to take pictures. I don't deny anybody. If it's 100 people out there, if I get one thing, I got to give 99 of them one. So it is what it is. And I'm just so humble like that because that's what I was brought up by my father. Never think about you're bigger than anybody because I do the same thing. I put my pants on just like them. I eat. I do everything the same way everybody. It's just that somebody just gave me a little fame. And I think God gave me a talent that I used.
There you go. Well, 2000, you win another gold medal at the Olympics. But there was a situation with your teammate, Vernon Maxwell, in the locker room. This was an interesting one, by the way, when I was reading about it this morning. Tell me what happened.
Well, me and Vern are the same. Me and Vern had battled against each other when he was at Houston and I was with Seattle. We were all that way. But people didn't know we were good friends. We were really tight. We did the same thing. We hung out the same way. You know what I'm saying? We did the same thing. We partied the same way. We did the same thing. And we clash. When you have two guys like the same and they clash, somebody's going to have to give. And I think Vern wasn't giving. I wasn't giving. So practice went a little left. Vernon was very upset about a lot of stuff at practice during the time. He would foul a lot of people. And then all of a sudden, me being a leader, I said, let me guard him. Because I thought I could control him and settle him down. Me and him got into it. And then I took it to a whole nother level again. I just said, just wait till we get into the locker room and we're going to see what happened. So I walked off the court and waited for him in the locker room. And as soon as he got in the locker room, I tried to hit him with a weight.
Right. Wait, you said, so I went to the locker room and I waited for him. I didn't want to hurt my beautiful hands. So I took some weight with me.
Yeah, I didn't want to break my hand. You know
really
what I'm saying?
took like an actual chunk of metal and you go
10
hit him.
pound weight.
Hit him with
Yeah,
it.
try to.
I mean, at what point do you say, I'm a professional NBA player, this is my teammate, and this is going to end very badly no matter what happens?
When you blank out like I did, it wasn't gonna happen no more. It was a blank out.
It was a blank out.
It was a blank out, and
Okay.
it went to a level. And then I heard Horace, and I really messed up Horace.
Horace Grant tried to get in the middle of y'all,
Right.
and you end up hitting him in the head
Hit
with
him,
a weight.
yeah, hit him.
You bust his head open.
Yeah, and it was. I felt really bad about that.
He missed what, 1 or 2 games?
1 or 2 games for it, and then I got fined for it. And
How much you get fined for that?
it was almost about a couple of $100,000.
Well,
Yeah.
I mean, that's a pretty serious offense. if
It
you
was a
think
serious
about it.
offense. And they didn't want to suspend me. So I had to take the thing, and then I had to take care of Horace's medical stuff. But it was cool. And
Was
I told
Horace
him,
mad at you?
no, he wasn't. Horace understood. You know, that's my guy too. Horace was like, man, you crazy. You know you crazy. So I said, Horace, man, he ain't gonna do that to me. Yeah, so Horace really understood it, and me and Horace, we put it in the bud. But the Seattle wasn't having it. They were kind of upset about the situation.
As
They wanted to
should be.
take it farther than what it was. The NBA investigated it, and I love Seattle because they said we'll handle it. It's an in-house thing, and that's what they did. They fined me pretty heavily.
Okay. 2001. Howard Schultz, the founder of Starbucks, ends up buying the Supersonics. He paid $200 million for it. And it seemed like the two of you started to butt heads when he became the owner. Is that a fair statement?
At first it wasn't. I think Howard is a con man to me.
Really?
You know, he's a con man.
Okay.
He's gonna tell you what he want to tell you and things like that. People didn't understand that a lot of other people were owning the team too. I think it was like 30 more other owners.
Maybe 58 people, I
Yeah,
think,
I think 30, 40
owners.
more owners and stuff. And he was the spokesperson. And I think what he did wrong was he tried to run an organization of a basketball like a coffee business. It doesn't work that way.
At all.
It doesn't work that way. And so the team started going down. And only thing I don't like is he promised me to redo my contract, and he lied. And that was a big deal about me, and that's why it was time for me to go.
Right, because 2002, you didn't show up on the first day of training camp because
Right.
you guys were in contract disputes
Right.
over that time.
Right.
And that's when he basically said, okay, we're just going to cut him.
Bro, he said he didn't care. It was time for us to go make a change. And I said, it is time for make a change. You know what I'm saying? I said, because I don't like you, you don't like me, so it's time to move on. And they decided we wanted to move on, and I got traded in 2003, right after the All-Star game.
Yeah, because I think like when it was happening, Howard Schultz actually went to the media and said that Payton is disrespecting us and disrespecting the team and so forth. So it became kind of a war of words that
right.
spilled out into the media.
Right, and that's what I didn't take no more of that. It was time because I had told him we're going to keep this in-house. Let's keep it between us. And then he went and being the guy who he is and put it in the media. And I said, I could have been did that. And why you want to go and do it now? So now we're gonna feud it out. I'm gonna make you have to trade me now.
Yeah.
Because or something's gonna happen. You know what I'm saying? Because if I come around you, I think I'm gonna go at you, and we're gonna be into it. And so they decided that we both had decided it was time for us to make a change.
But I remember I talked to John Sally about this. He said it's relatively rare for players, even superstar players, to deal with owners directly. There's layers in between.
Mm-hmm.
The owner is way richer than everybody.
Right.
This is just one of his businesses usually.
Absolutely.
You know what I mean? So in general, owners and players don't have negotiations. They don't have arguments. General manager, coach, whatever, they're there to do that. But you were actually having to deal directly with the owner.
And that was the problem. Yeah, he had a big ego. He always wanted to be hands-on and come and try to deal with us on a personal. He would always make it personal with us. You know what I'm saying? With anybody, he would go to you, come to practices, want you to come over his house to talk to him and stuff like that. And that was stupid. You know what I'm saying? And then he got into a problem with us because we were at one of the players' wedding in Hawaii. And he pulled me to the side and started talking about, we're going to take care of you. You know, you my guy, you our future, you are whatever. And I'm like, okay. And then when we go into negotiations, you turn this flip script on me and do other stuff and tell me, no, get out your face. So now I'm going to make it personal. I'm going to start telling people about you. And then everybody understood what it was and how he wasn't a good guy and he wasn't that guy. As you see that Seattle, he the one that made Seattle not be in Seattle no more.
Yeah.
You know, with dumb stuff that he did. So, you know, everybody understood that it was him.
Well, you ended up getting traded to the Milwaukee Bucks, where you played 28 games, finished out the season. And then in 2003, you went over to the Lakers. And that was pretty much to get a ring.
Mm-hmm.
That was pretty much the plan for you at that time. Like, okay, I'm going to get a ring. I'm going to join the Lakers. At the time, Kobe was on the Lakers. Shaq, Rick Fox, Derek Fisher, Horace Grant, Karl Malone, and Phil Jackson is coaching.
Right.
So you walk in to the superstar team. What was it like to really play with the Lakers that year?
As when we planned this, me and Karl planned this. So Magic called us and did the things, and we set it up. We knew that we could win. We knew we were going to be a super team. We were going to make it to the championship and win it. But things started to go to left. The first thing was when Kobe got in trouble.
The whole Denver situation.
Yeah, the whole Denver situation. That was one of our first signs of it was going to be tragic.
Okay, so we're not going to really go into the details of that. Rest in peace, Kobe.
Mm-hmm.
But when all that was happening, how much chaos did that bring to the organization?
It was bringing a lot of chaos because the media was bringing chaos. It wasn't bringing chaos between our team.
Okay.
Because I had took over being the big brother of Kobe. Mm-hmm. So he was with me a lot. So we were getting really, really bonded. And we wasn't caring about that. And I told him I didn't care about that. We just got to console him and make him feel better. And that's what it was because he was going back and forth doing a lot of things. But then when Karl got hurt, it tore us all up. Shaq got into it with Dr. Buss about the contract.
What exactly is that? What do you mean by that?
I mean that he wanted to get a contract and Dr. Buss didn't want to give him a new contract.
Okay.
So they start feuding with each other and it was just like me and Schultz. Words started going back and forth. Then it was like Shaq didn't want to play. It was one of them things. So it is what it was. So as everybody understand, Karl only played 22 games. He missed 60. Kobe missed 35 or 36, and Shaq did too.
Yeah.
And we still made it to the finals. But by that time, it was so broken in our thing that we couldn't get it back. We couldn't reel it back. And it was okay. I didn't think that we were going to pull the plug on that team. Then Shaq got traded, and then I got traded. And it was crazy.
Right. I mean, was there tension between Kobe and Shaq that particular year?
Everybody,
because the year afterwards is when Kobe got Shaq traded.
Right.
I remember me and Shaq did a mixtape together where he actually rapped about it.
Yeah.
He even said, Kobe, even though you get me traded, you can't be as high as me. And he was kind of dissing Kobe on a,
Well, that was where everything got crazy. Because when you hear something about somebody and then you get it in secondhand, you go and make a song and you make that about it when you don't understand what really happened by going to the guy and do it. Mm-hmm. We had a meeting about that. And it was just about a brotherhood. People do get like it. It's just like if me and you were together all the time and I considered you as my brother. And then all of a sudden something happens and I don't hear from you. I get a thing and be like, why my bro didn't holler at me? You know what I'm saying? Yeah. But it was something else. It was through secondhand. Mm-hmm. And that's the way it went. And it was just about conversation, talk. And I think that was the whole big deal about that is because they never talked. Mm-hmm. It was always somebody hearing something about this. Well, he said this about this. And then you see it in the media. And then all of a sudden they feud. Now they want to fight each other. And that's how it was. And that's why I think it was good for me and Karl to be on the team at the time because we diffused all of that. Because I always used to tell Kobe, think about what the people just said. Where did you hear this from? And he would think about it. He was like, man, I heard it from them. I said, did you ever go and ask Shaq? No. Why not try it? And then you could talk about it.
Yeah.
And that's where we start getting to the level where we start talking about it, talk about it. But after that time, I think things were too far gone. It was too far gone. And everybody needed a change. And the change was, and then I think Dr. Buss wanted to make a change. Everybody wanted to make a change. And then I think Kobe wanted to be on his own. And that's what it was.
I remember hearing a story where you pulled Kobe aside and said, man, you got to move your puppies.
Yeah. Yeah.
And that's when he started changing around his style a little bit?
Yeah. Then you remember he started.
What does that mean exactly?
Well, maybe your feet. Your feet always got to be happy. You know what I'm saying? And he wanted to play defense like me. And he came and asked me. And I told him he doesn't move his puppies fast enough. He always try to plant it and try to move. If your feet is always active during defensive stands, nobody can hit you with a pick. And he started getting that. You know, he got on first team all defense with me that year, and then he started making it with me every year.
Right.
So he was a guy, and I miss him so much because I used to talk to him a lot, that he wanted to learn. He didn't have an ego about learning and asking from OGs. He always had an OG that he wanted to ask something. He always used to pick my brain. When we come in the locker room, he always like, OG, come on, man, sit down. What did you do this time, man? Why did you do? And we watched film. And he would tell me, why did you do this play and what happened on this play? And he was just soak up so much knowledge. That's why he got so good. You know, everybody used to talk about he shoot the ball. That's just the way he was. He got to score like that. That's the way it was. He had to be 7 for 30. It was just him. But in the crucial time, he gonna make a big shot. He gonna make all big shots every time. I don't care what it was. He's gonna have something special in the game.
You know, I remember I asked Gilbert Arenas what his craziest Kobe story is. You know, he said that Kobe showed up to this one NBA player's birthday party with his security, and he made the whole family in the house go outside and wait.
Karan was telling me once about his birthday. He did a party at his house in Milwaukee, and he said he invited Kobe. And he says, my house, got my family, my friends, our teammates. And they said, Kobe comes in. They said, Kobe comes in, he has security, tells everyone, hey, everyone out of the house.
He kicked everyone out of their own house.
Everyone kicked out, and then he had a security check and make sure everything was all right, and then let everybody back in. He said, I'm sitting outside looking like, yo, bro, this is my house, bro. He said, that's the way Kobe was. He said, that's the way Kobe was. He said, you just gotta deal with it.
Okay.
And I was like, oh, that's funny.
While the security went to the house and make this, and everyone's waiting outside going like, did this motherfucker just kick me out of my own house? Are we really on outside right now? This guest is now checking out my house?
Yeah.
Any really over the top Kobe?
At times he was. I mean, that's just the way it was. When you get accused of something, and then you have to get defensive about a lot of things because you think everybody's out to get you then. We came to training camp, and he had 5 motorcycles shipped to Hawaii, and they all was riding behind him while he riding off and stuff like that. He was just paranoid. Anybody would get paranoid when you're in a situation where you knew what would happen, and then somebody lied on you.
Yeah,
and they did that. You got to get paranoid because you don't know where it's going to come from no more. So now you have to get extra cautious. And that's what he did. Guys don't understand. You never been in that situation and you 20-something years old and think you're going to go to jail the rest of your life and you one of the greatest basketball players that's playing right now?
Oh, yeah, let's not forget about America's infatuation with white women's tears. And how it just looks from the outside.
And it was looking all bad because all the stuff that was coming out, it was like he was one of these guys who was just was disrespecting her and treating her like trash. And during that time, we couldn't have that. That wasn't what's going on. And I get it. And I got it for a point. That's why the Lakers said, Gary, you be his mentor during this year. Mm-hmm. And I understood all of that because it's a big deal thinking you're going to go to jail and the rest of your life, especially in a city where they were trying to kill him.
Denver.
They were trying to get him. You know what I'm saying?
Well, you guys make it to the finals against the Pistons. You guys were the heavy favorites. Pistons winning 5 games.
Mm-hmm.
Karl Malone gets injured in game 4. Couldn't play game 5. Now you go to the finals twice and you lose both times. How does that feel to really have that type of potential, to have this type of team, these superstars, and then at the very end, it just doesn't happen again?
This one hurt me a little bit because the simple fact is that we didn't go against I didn't think this team was that way, the Detroit Pistons, but they were playing really good together at the time. Mm-hmm. Going against Michael Jordan, when you know that he was been stopping a lot of teams, and knowing that, you would be like, oh, okay, we ran into him and one of them great teams. Detroit was a team where we weren't expecting the way they played, and they played out of their mind. Ben Wallace, he changed the game. Chauncey was having a great shooting series. Hamilton and Tayshaun Prince, they were playing well. Everybody was playing well, and Rasheed Wallace was with them. They were all playing well. But people didn't understand, they had 5 greats too. If you see that lineup, that was 5 greats too. Yeah. And we wasn't at full strength with our 4 greats. So when they started playing us and they started going through us and their defense was just out of control, I knew we wasn't going to beat them. I knew we weren't going to beat them at the first game 1. And then we lucked up and Kobe hit that shot in game 2 and tied it up. When we went to Detroit, we were deflated. I didn't even think we were, and we didn't. They beat us 3 up all 3 games, and they beat us handily. Yeah. And I just said, it's no way we're going to beat this team because this team is too together. They're playing too well, and we're not at full strength.
How did Kobe take that loss? Because he's someone that really just hates to lose. I remember, Gilbert Arenas described him as almost a psychopath when it comes to winning. I mean, remember the story about how Jordan said, "Oh, you can wear my shoes, but you'll never fill them."
Right.
And then Kobe stopped talking to the whole team for a month, and then just came back and just destroyed Jordan that next game. Yeah. I mean, Kobe. In terms of competitiveness, he's at the very, very top. So to get to the finals, because had he lost the finals up to that point or after that?
During that time, I think they had won 3. Yeah, they had won 3 in a row. Remember,
that's what I'm saying.
3 in a row, and then he came back with us.
And then boom.
And then he lost. That was his first loss as in the finals.
Exactly. How badly did he take it?
He stopped talking.
Really?
Period.
For how long?
For the whole thing.
Okay.
He wasn't talking to anybody. He was off to his side, to himself. He was really off to himself. And I still thought he was still into that moment with what he was going through. Yeah. I think that hurt us too, because I think his mind wasn't in the basketball. I don't really think his mind was in basketball. Yeah.
I mean, Shaq got traded after that. He never played as a Laker again. Phil Jackson actually left as a coach to come back later on for the 2005-2006 season. And then you got traded as well. To the Celtics?
Yes.
So you go and play with the Celtics. How's that whole experience? Because this is a very legendary team once again.
Boston was good because you know what? I had Doc Rivers as a coach, and it was cool. Boston was different. They weren't that great team that they were. We were making it. I was the oldest statements on that team. We were trying to get it. You remember we had the Tony Allens, all the young ones, the high school players that came out of there, and we were just trying to make it. At the end of the year, we went and traded for Antoine Walker. Got Antoine Walker, made a push for the playoffs, made it. Got Jason Kidd, Vince Carter, all of them, Ken Martin. And you remember they went to the finals 2 years in a row. And we almost beat them in a 5-game series. We went to game 5. And it was just different. You know, it was different. Boston was different because it wasn't that historic teams as the Larry Birds.
Right.
But it was a team that we was building up. We were trying to make it. We were trying to do things like that. And it just was just a different thing. Me trying to build a team up at the age of 35, 34, and we trying to do it, and we don't have no player. It was great that I played with my little youngster, Paul Pierce, who grew up in Oakland, and and then went to LA and then started growing up. But it was good to go with my little young guy, and he was just becoming the person who he was, and it was great to be with him.
Well, then in 2005, you signed a 1-year deal with the Miami Heat, and now you get to reunite with Shaq once again. And I guess in the beginning, things were a little bit rough, and you had to pull Shaq aside and say, listen, Dwayne Wade is really who we got to focus on.
Mm-hmm.
And that's when everything started to change.
It did. You know what? When Van Gundy got fired, we were like 15 games, 14 games under 500 or something like that. We went on a run and won about 17 games in a row. And then all of a sudden, we were having problems with who was our go-to guy. And Shaq, at that time, was not our go-to guy. I think this young kid, Flash, was a guy. He was doing a lot of things. And I just called a team meeting. And I just said, look, you guys, we got to learn how to play our role. Play our role. I'm not the guy that I used to be. So I'm going to have to play defense and take the slack and make the shots when I have to. And Shaq wasn't really going for that. And I had to pull him to the side because that's like my brother. And I told him, look, if we're going to win this championship or even make a run for it, you got to be like me. We got to just say, forget it. Our time is over. We here. You done won everything. You done made all this money. You good. Don't worry about it. Let's win a championship right now. Mm-hmm. And he agreed with me. And we started running through things through D Wade. And look what happened. He started averaging 35. And all of a sudden we made a run and we beat Dallas.
Right, 2006, Miami Heat's first ever NBA final win against the Mavericks, won in 6 games. Along the way, you somehow got a hold of Shaquille O'Neal's underwear. Which you have framed in your house from what I heard.
You know what? I got that on my floor in the back because I moved. So I got them big old shorts, man. But Shaq, we used to always play jokes. Yeah. Shaq is a jokester. Oh, yeah. So if one of the rookies would be in a stall, he would take a bucket and use the bathroom in it for about a week. Okay. And then all of a sudden he'll pour it on them. So we started being jokesters. We started being jokes. So I said, I got to get him. So I got his drawers one day, and I took them, and he had to wear them underneath his thing and be free balling all the time, right? But we messed up his pants. So he didn't have no drawers because he was trying to find his drawers, and I had them. You know what I'm saying? And so he had to ride a towel around him, and Shaq don't care. He'll go outside with the towel on, everything. He was just doing all kinds of stuff. He'd get in his truck, ride around the thing, and then he'd throw the towel out, and he'd be free balling. Yeah. So I used to keep all his shorts and pair of drawers and all that stuff.
There you go. I mean, how did you feel to finally win, your first finals after being there for the 3rd time? And also, you were how old at the time?
36.
36 years old.
Yeah.
When a lot of people, we're probably counting you out and so forth, but here you are, based on your contribution and your overall strategy, you guys actually win.
It felt good. You don't want to win a championship in the later years. You want to win it in your prime so you can say you did it. But I felt the same way. I made big shots in that series, saved us in game 3, you know what I'm saying? And things like that. But it was a win. It was a win. And this team was a little bit different than all my previous teams that I went to the finals with because we were like as really, really one. We all hung out together. We all did everything together. We went through so much stuff in that season. Pat Riley comes in. He puts a big old bucket in and we throw all kind of stuff in there and we make a thing 15 strong. That's what we made it. And when we started doing that, everybody wives started hanging out with each other. We started doing everything together. We started going to everybody's houses every week. And it was just felt like a big old family. And that big family was good. Pat was letting the wives and all the kids fly on different planes behind us to get to the games and do the stuff and do that. And it was a family. And I think this was a different feel, a real different feel.
Yeah, I mean, Dwayne Wade became MVP.
Yep.
As you pretty much predicted.
Mm-hmm.
You ended up signing another 1-year deal.
Right.
So, you played one more year, and after that, you retired.
Right.
You're 37 at the time?
37.
What made you finally retire at that point?
When basketball doesn't be fun to you anymore, then you know it's time to quit. I was on Oakland streets playing basketball for fun, for free. Mm-hmm. And then they started giving me money. And when I was playing during that 17 years, it was all fun. When I went in there and I started seeing it was like almost a 9-to-5 job, that was a struggle that I hated to come to, I knew it was time to put basketball to a side. It was over. I didn't have fun with it anymore. And I decided that it's time for me to move on to a different chapter. And that's what I decided. It wasn't no fun. I wasn't looking forward to coming into a gym and going in there having fun and playing basketball with what I did as a kid growing up all the time with fun. And I was getting paid for it now. It was just something that it was time for me to leave. And I thought about it. And I said, it's time to go.
How did that last game feel? When the final buzzer, your last game, it's your last game. How was it? Was there tears? Was there sadness? Was there happiness? Well,
it was no emotion for me because I didn't know what was going to be next. Because when it started hitting me is when I was sitting on that couch and I was watching the other basketball games in the season start, and then it hit me. It was like I'm not there anymore. I should be at a basketball game, working out, going through training camp and all of that. And I'm sitting over here watching y'all now, and it's all bad. And that's when it really hit, is that my basketball career is over. I got to do something else now. And it's crazy because you think about it. A guy that never had a 9-to-5 job, right. Never nothing.
Yeah, since a kid, all you were focused on was basketball. That's it.
That's it. Now what I'm going to do?
Yeah.
Is it going to be anything I do? Do I want to go and get into basketball and become a coach? No, I didn't want to do that because I had just left that. I didn't want to be traveling around and doing stuff like that again. So I said, let me take a couple of years off. And I took 2 years off, and it was just time to come back. I just said I need to do TV or something or be involved. And then I just reached out to the NBA, and we tried to figure out something. Can I go and do appearances? Could I do this and that? But it's just a time where I just couldn't give up basketball, period, no more. And it's just like now, I'm involved with the NBA so tough. It's just, I just can't give up. I just can't get rid of it.
Well, yeah. I mean, by the time you finished, you were considered one of the greatest, point guards ever. Kevin Johnson said, when talking about you, certainly among the best ever, just as intimidating, maybe even more so than all-time greats, Magic Johnson, Isaiah Thomas, Tiny Archibald, and Maurice Cheeks. George Karl said, I don't know who else you take at point guard. Some say Jason Kidd. Well, every time Gary was nose-to-nose with Kidd, Gary won that matchup. So, do you consider yourself the greatest point guard of all time?
No.
No?
I don't consider myself. I just consider myself one of the greatest basketball players that ever played a game.
There you go.
I don't care about who is the greatest and whatever. To my opinion, John Stockton was the greatest point guard to ever play. That's my opinion. You know what I'm saying? It's always opinion, and then Magic and all of them. People ask me who was the greatest basketball player to ever play. I think Wilt Chamberlain was.
Okay.
Period is period.
Yeah, there you go.
All the stuff that he did and all the records, who are all chasing after all his records? It's
Right.
all his records. You know, everybody chasing after and breaking his records. I don't see nobody else chasing after one guy breaking records. I see all Will Chamberlain records getting broke. When you see Harden and all them, who records are he breaking? He's breaking Will Chamberlain. So I'm just saying like this, I don't compare people. They tell me to compare people. I don't care. All of us was great. We all in the same category, Hall of Fame.
There you go. Right. Because you only missed 25 games in your 17-year career. You just would play through with injuries and so forth.
Right.
You just work through the pain.
Right.
In the first 10 seasons, you only missed 2 games. I mean, you just played every time.
Yeah. Then them 25 came in Miami. And I probably missed about 10, 11 games in Miami because of what Pat Riley wanted to do. He didn't want to play me or whatever. But during my regular career as a dominant player, I only missed like 2 or 3 games. I didn't really, to me, being hurt and all that stuff and all the money they was paying me, my legs had to be cut off for me not to make it. You know what I'm saying? So it was like, I'm going to play through this and I'm going to get it and I'm going to get it done. And that's the way I was. You know, that's the way I thought all the time.
I mean, during the time, that you played for the NBA, from your NBA salary alone, you made $104 million. Not to count the Nike money and whatever else and so forth. When you look at all the money you made during that time, do you feel like you invested it well and are now living a carefree life? Or did you make a lot of mistakes along the way, have people steal from you and so forth, where you wish you had done something different?
I didn't have people steal from me, but I wish I'd done a lot of stuff different. You know what I'm saying? Everybody thinks that when you jack off a lot of money.
Right.
But I got very, very smart at the end of my life, and my life is really comfortable now.
Good.
I make more money than most people imagine really right now. That's the stuff that I do.
I love it.
You know what I'm saying? So I got too much going on. People want to give me money just to be doing something.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? So, and then I got a great team with me too. You know, I got a lot of people who work with me that I really appreciate and I respect. And they get it done for me too. So that's just the way it go. If I get smart people around me and I make it smart, they're gonna do great things for me.
Yeah.
So nowadays, my life, like I said, I think my life is more popular than when I was a basketball player. I really do think that because I get everything done. You know what I'm saying? Like I told you, who could get a weed named after him with a bag on it and then get more stuff to come out like that? So it's great for me. It's great.
I love it. 2008, the Supersonics moved to Oklahoma and got renamed to the Oklahoma Thunder, which basically ended the whole era. Which I'm sure you blame Howard Schultz for that.
Very
that
much.
Demise. Very much. I mean, when the Supersonics just ceased to exist and, the majority of your career was with them, and now they're the Oklahoma Thunder, how did you feel that day?
I felt like the world ended in Seattle because that city and them fans don't deserve that. They don't deserve it. And I've been working very hard to get it back.
So you're trying to get that, a new team, I guess?
Yeah, we're going to just try to get an expansion team. And I think the expansion team is going to happen. I think with Adam Silver, who it is, and he knows that, we're going to add some teams. And I think Seattle is one of them teams that he's going to add. And I think that they deserve it. As getting a new hockey team there as the Krakens right now and making it understand and the arena that they just built there, I think it's going to be something that the NBA has to look at. And then I think at the opening of the Krakens NHL season, Adam Silvers was there. And he did the facility.
Okay.
So I think it's going to happen. I think it's going to happen. And when it happens, it's going to be a great, great thing. I'm going to be a part of it. It's going to be really good. First thing we're going to do is retire Deadlift Shrimp and Shawn Kemp's jersey. And we're going to make a big deal about it.
Are you trying to be an owner if there's a new team?
Yeah, I'm going to be invested in that.
Nice.
So, so it's going to be really, really good about that.
2013, you got inducted to the Basketball Hall of Fame, which, everyone thinks is going to happen anyways, but then again, politics happen and so forth. When it finally happened, and you got to, get on that stage and accept, the Hall of Fame award, how did that really feel after all those years?
It felt great because what they're doing is they're giving you something that says, solidifies what kind of basketball player you was. People don't get this. I never looked at none of my videos, ever, because I don't go back and look at that. It's just like you tooting your own horn and you getting pumped over yourself. I just did what I had to do. And when they started naming off stuff that I did that I never knew I did, and I was one of the 3 of these persons, 3 of this, did you ever know that he did this? And I didn't care about all that. And when we did it and I got up there and it really hit that a guy from Oakland, California is about to be a Hall of Famer. Who would ever think of that? I never grew up thinking that I'd be in the Hall of Fame or the NBA and the player that I would be. And it just feels good that you say, I played a game that I loved and I got really good at it and I got a craft in it and I did it. And now you show it, it sees when you saying you just made a Hall of Fame and it's only probably 300 or 400 guys that's in that Hall of Fame. Mm-hmm. And it is what it is, and you never knew that. And that's what I feel good about.
Yeah, congrats on that, man. Especially coming from Oakland.
Thank
you. Like I said, the whole hometown hero thing.
Yeah.
Once again.
Yeah.
Well, then 2014, your son, Gary Payton II, goes to OSU. Just like you. He becomes a 2-time Pac-10 Defensive Player of the Year, 2 times first team All Pac-12, 2 times Pac-12 All Defensive Team. So now you're getting to see your son follow your footsteps. And then in 2017, after, I guess he goes into the draft but doesn't get picked initially. And then in 2017, he actually joins the Bucks and plays his first NBA, game. How does it feel as a father to see your son actually get on that court?
It was a good thing. And I think that my son got the raw end of the deal because he didn't get a notice as like he should have got notice. He was a better basketball player than what people really thought. And during that time, drafting was really crazy. Now they draft people just to be drafting people now. So I'm happy for him now because of the team he's on now, because of let him show his skill.
Right, the Warriors.
Right, the Warriors.
So is he permanently on the Warriors?
Yes.
I keep hearing he's not playing.
He's got a contract. He's got a guarantee. He guaranteed his contract in January the 10th.
Okay, good.
Playing very well. Playing very, very well. And I think Steve Kerr is the one who did that for him. Put him in a rotation to do what he want to do. This is the most popular he has been in the pros now. Mm-hmm. And I think he's with the right team because they won a lot of championships. They know how to do it. You with Steph Curry, you with Klay Thompson, you with Draymond Green, you with these guys who have won championships, been in 5 of them, won 3. So you know it. So they're playing very well together, and I just like it that he's on this team and he's got an opportunity to get even bigger with the squad because I think they're going to sign him to a bigger deal next year, and it'll be good for him.
Right, because he's nicknamed the Mitten.
Now it's Young Glove.
I know he doesn't like the Mitten.
Yeah, it's Young Glove now.
He likes Young Glove, but people still call him the Mitten.
Yeah, I don't like the Mitten either. That's a crazy name.
Right?
That's crazy. I didn't really like that one. He didn't. So they got him the Young Glove. He now likes the Young Glove. So I like whatever he likes, I'm liking it.
Well, one of the things you said in an interview, which I found really kind of interesting because I never thought about it before, was that you said there's never been a superstar NBA father who had a superstar son as well. And, you even mentioned, like, you could say Steph Curry, but his dad wasn't a superstar, not at his level.
Right.
So you now have this situation where you have a superstar father and a son who's very good, but the Mitten, Young Glove. Like, there's always the comparison, which I feel like made it harder for him in the NBA.
What it made harder for him is because he's named after me. Yeah. Gary. He's got the whole name.
Yeah.
And people are always going to compare him to me. And I told him, never think that way. Always be a side of me. If you see my picture on there, get your picture aside of me. Mm-hmm. Don't ever let it. And I told him it's only going to be one Gary Payton. And that's me. I'm the one. Yeah. So he can be number 2 is like he is. That's why he put the 2 on to him. Yeah. And his mom did. Because he can be as good as he wants to be. And I'm not going to push him for that. I'm not going to push nobody for that because, like I said, it's only one me. And that's what it's going to be. I want him to become that superstar. I think he can become that superstar because of his athletic ability, his ability to do it. I just want him to be happy and comfortable. Just be comfortable.
Right, because your other kids, did any of them really aspire to join the NBA?
No.
Just him?
Just him.
Got it.
Just him. You know, my other two sons, both of them are in the tech business now. They both work for my tech company as we speak now.
Good.
So it's like, you know, my youngest one is more like me. He's the crazy one like me. He's got the whole manner of me. He's just crazy. You know what I'm saying? So, and Gary the second is the mild one. He's the real calm one. Gary Jr. is the more to look like me. He wants to act like me too, the other two, but this one he's different. He's his own guy. He's his own guy and I like it. And, you know, I stay out his way. I just stay out his way. I let him be him. You know what I'm saying? I stay out of all of them's way. You know, my daughter is the one I really, really love. The rest of them I can get, they can go about the business. You know, but my daughter, love her.
Right.
But it's good. So, you know, I just try to stay out their way and let them be them.
You know, after playing with Kobe, did you guys continue a relationship? Did you continue to stay in touch and so forth?
We did.
You did?
We did.
Well, then 2020 happens.
Yeah.
Kobe, his daughter, and some other people as well, including other little kids, ends up dying in that helicopter accident. You know, I live down the street from where the accident happened, so it was kind of a very rough day. You know, we went down to, you know, walk down, you know, with all the other fans near the crash site and so forth. I mean, when you heard the news, considering that you guys had a relationship, how did it affect you?
Well, I had just talked to him a week before that. And we were talking about the Hall of Fame stuff that was coming up. And how did it feel and, you know, how it was going to feel. He talked to my sons because he had considered him like his nephew and it was sending my son some shoes. I was on the plane and I was going to Atlanta because I was working for Turner Sports at the time. And so when I got off the plane, my phone was blowing up, you know, and they were like, Kobe died. And I was like, no, that's crazy. Y'all tripping. You know what I'm saying? So then all of a sudden, I get on the phone and start making calls. And then when TMZ confirmed it, I know that's when it's really, really real because they already really know the stuff. So
Yeah.
I broke down and cried. Me and Brian Shaw was together, which Brian Shaw was always with us too. We cried for a while, and we had to go on TV and basically talk about it. I didn't want to talk about it. I just talked to him a week before. And it's just like, you don't think about that would happen. Not to him. A young man who was only 41 years old was about to change women's basketball, and this happens. And it's still a shock to me after 2 years that he's gone. And it's coming up on a 2-year anniversary real soon here. And I just, I got so many pictures up of him now in my house that is crazy. I got all the books that's still down there and all that, and it's like I don't know. I would have been to seen him a lot of more times. You know what I'm saying? I just went to the Hall of Fame speech when Vanessa did her speech, which was crazy, and it would have been like I would have been seeing him. Seeing him talk, and especially to just see that he not here no more is just crazy. We talk about it, we see it. It's just it's not real to me. You know what I'm saying? And then I think about it, and you think, why did it have to happen to him? Why did he have to pass? And it's always a reason in the world for what happens. It makes it a reason for everything to happen. And we don't know why that God wanted to take him off this earth, but it's a reason.
What do you think was your greatest memory with Kobe?
Always sitting down with him, discussing stuff. Me and him always would chat it up about a lot of different things. He would ask me about a lot of different things. Why do you think a guy play this way? Why was he like this? What way would you have done it different? How would you have played this? How would you think I would have played this? And I would ask him, and he would come with good conversation every time. He would always come with good every time. I think he was before his time, really. I really do. Because he would tell me about some OG stuff that I was like, man, you act like you about 56 years old, man. And he would understand it to the fullest. He was a very smart and knowledgeable young kid.
Yeah, sad, man. And especially when you hear about the daughter.
Yeah.
That's what really killed me, because it's like, I mean, he got to live a great life. His daughter didn't even get to
grow up and do nothing.
Grow up.
Yeah. And then he didn't, it's going to be tough on Vanessa to not see her go to her senior ball, not to see her put her gown on or get married or have grandbabies. That's the craziest thing about it. And then especially not to be around Kobe anymore. You're used to waking up to him every day and doing the same thing, going to get her coffee, and he taking the girls to school and picking them up, and you seeing that phone call from him every day. That's what they did. You know what I'm saying? So that's a big change too.
Yeah, then Vanessa's mom sues her, and then all the various lawsuits she has to deal with the pictures from the crash being exposed, and the suing of the helicopter company. And yeah, man, it's a lot to go through. All the money in the world ain't going to heal that.
It ain't. And I
take that loss, Yeah. So, yeah, man, sad. I'm sorry for your loss. I never got to meet him.
Yeah.
But,
if you'd have met him, you would have knew he was a good kid, a real good kid. I loved him to death, man. And he was a good guy, really good guy.
2021, you made the NBA 75th anniversary team. The all-time best players in 75 years. How did that feel?
That took it over to the ultimate. If you think about it, if it's 75 years in the NBA, what did they do? They took one player every year and said they was the best. Think about that. 75 years, you pick 75 players.
Yeah.
How many players went in the NBA?
Thousands.
Almost about 60,000.
60,000
players? I think
about
60, 75 years. I think it was like 60,000 players.
Wow.
And they picked 75 of us.
And you're one of them.
And I'm one of them. So I really just can't tell you nothing. I can just say that they thought that I was that good. And I was worthy to get picked that way. So you think about it and you say, wow, I'm one of them guys.
Yeah.
And they're going to honor us in next month.
Yeah.
And it's going to be a big deal for all of us. You know what I'm saying? So you think about it, my life has been great. It's been really, really great. And I never thought my life would be this way. The only regret I'm going to have now going into next month is that my mom and dad are not here.
Yeah,
and
you lost your mom in 2019 from cancer.
Right.
My condolences. That must have been tough. And your dad passed away when?
2015.
Okay.
Yeah. So it's been rough for me because of my father. I used to go to my father with a lot of stuff. And it's just what it is. And I can't go to nobody like that no more. My oldest brother is now my go-to guy now, and he's a preacher. So I got to go to him. I lost my mom, and I watched my mom die in front of my hands at my house. And it's like, it's crazy. You know what I'm saying? And I usually have both of them there, and I can't do it now.
Yeah.
So it'll be great. But what the good thing about it is I got 2 grandbabies that'll take over for it. So I'll take them.
Well, and, from growing up in the projects in Oakland to becoming someone worth over $100 million, buying your parents, I'm sure you bought them houses, cars. They obviously had to, didn't have to keep working.
Right.
They really got to see their son create multi-generational wealth and transform the entire Payton family single-handedly.
Yeah.
Think about it.
Yeah, I did. And you know, taking care of my sisters and brothers too was a good thing for me too. It was beautiful there. I made my mom and pop stop working as soon as I got drafted.
Nice.
So they never worked since 1990.
Nice.
So it was good. My daddy was a little different. He wanted to do more stuff with his own. He'd do all this stuff. But my mom, I took care of my mom a lot. I was around my mom an awful lot, you know, during my time in the NBA. You know, my dad was more going off and doing his stuff with his coaching and stuff like that. But it was good. And, you know, me and my mom got really, really, really tight. Really, really tight. And when I lost her 2 years ago, that was a big deal for me too, especially for me taking care of her on a one-on-one basis. So, you know, I'm just happy that they got an opportunity to witness some of the stuff that happened. You know, they might not see everything that's going on. They're looking, but I just wish they were here physically to do it. You know what I'm saying? But I was happy. As long as they got to see me go in the Hall of Fame in 2013, both of them was there, I was really happy about that.
Nice.
So, you know, everything that else comes after that, it'll be great. It was good, and I'm just so happy that they seen that they raised a son that was successful the way I was.
You know, you look at your team, you know, when you were with the Lakers. You know, recently someone compared LeBron's Lakers, you know, to the Lakers that you were on, and you said it's no comparison. And why is that?
Because our era it's different. You're comparing apples and oranges. Our four were a lot different. When you go Kobe, Shaq, me, and Karl, we did a dynasty on a lot of things. What LeBron is going through now, we know Carmelo is going to be in the Hall of Fame. Dwight Howard, you know, we hope that's going to be there too.
I think so.
I do too. I thought he should have been on the 75 team, really, personally. I thought he should have been. And then you go LeBron, who is definitely, and then Davis, Anthony Davis. You know, he's going to be Hall of Famer too. And he's on the 75. It's just a little different era to me. I think if we all would have played against each other, who would have guarded who? You know what I'm saying?
Right.
We don't know.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? So it would have been different. We can't go back in a time machine and say, yo, let them four play against us four. I don't know how that would work.
Right.
You know, I think Shaq would have dominated. I think Kobe would have dominated. I think I would have dominated. And then I know damn sure, Karl Malone would have dominated.
Right. But then you throw LeBron in the mix and, you know.
Yeah, it would have been something.
He's no slouch.
He's no slouch. So I think it would have been something different. So I don't know how that would work. So why I say it's no comparison.
Right. And you even tweeted, I think last year, you said, I could never play for the soft-ass era. All my salary would go to fines.
Yeah. Yeah, it's just era too damn soft. I can't say what I want to say. You know, I gotta have fun. That was my game, to go back at people. It wasn't nothing personal. It was just that. But they're giving texts just for this and that. And then they're going on the video camera, on the screens and trying to say a flagrant. That's just a hard foul. We're just playing basketball. And I don't know how I would have adjusted to it. I don't know.
Right. Because, I mean, recently now you have players that are getting fans thrown out for trash talking and so forth. Now, granted, some of it is justified, but during your era, a fan could say whatever.
I wanted him to say that because I'll get at him every time.
Right. But then, you know, I mean, you saw that one game with LeBron where someone says, oh, I hope your son dies in a car accident.
Now that's taking it too far.
It is taking it too far.
Yeah, it's taking it too far. But you know what? If that was me, I would have been like, well, your son would have to be with him too, or you're going to have to go, your son going to have to go too then. So you know what I'm saying? So I would have had to hit him back. You know what I'm saying? But nowadays it's a little sensitive because it's all about this Instagram, this Twitter. Kids are on there and kids follow this. And when they hear this stuff, they follow that stuff and they take it to a whole nother level. So our era was a little different. That's why I like that we never had Instagram. We never had Twitter. We never had the camera phones.
Right.
We did a lot more than these dudes doing now. I'm guaranteeing you that.
I bet.
We did a lot more. And it's just that it never was out and shown in public like that. And I think this is the bad thing about all of this.
Gary Payton, man, truly appreciate you coming in. I've been a longtime fan. You know, I've been wanting to do this for years now. We finally made it happen. Really, man, like, coming out of Oakland, and, I remember, I'm a few years younger than you, but even growing up in San Mateo, you would hear about Gary Payton. You would hear about everything, that you're doing. And then once you really hit the ground running in the NBA, it was like, it was inspirational. Mm-hmm. Because, the Bay hasn't always been, the Bay that the Warriors are representing right now. It was like you said in the beginning, it was overlooked. McDonald's All-American wouldn't look at us.
Never.
You really had to get it out the mud and get to the highest, the highest point in a game that had become international at that point. Right. It wasn't just about the hottest players in the U.S. They were going out to Africa and Europe and grabbing whoever they could grab, and you surpassed everybody, becoming one of the greatest point guards ever, winning a championship, Hall of Fame, one of the top 75 players in the NBA of all time, man. I mean, to come from a kid from the projects in Oakland to get to this point, man, it's inspirational. That's all I could say.
Thanks, Vlad. It's something that I take pride in. You know what I'm saying? Maybe because I got to look at now Jason Kidd and Damian Lillard.
Yeah.
Who's going to be on who's on the 75 team with me.
Yep.
And Jay is a Hall of Fame too, and which Dame is going to be one too. We took a culture from Oakland, California, and grew up in there and did that and put it on the map. And that's all I wanted to do. I wanted to be on the map like that, like with yourself. Everybody is looking now at our Bay Area because people like yourself who was being big with this platform you got, and they're respecting you.
Yeah.
And you say, I'm from the Bay. You know what I'm saying? That's the way we got to do it. Oh, yeah. And we making it happen that way. And that's all we doing. We just trying to start a platform, which you starting a platform in this area, in this way, and I started it in that sports way. And we're doing it. And we're making other people understand we can come from anywhere and we can do whatever we want to do and get it. And everybody going to recognize us over in this West. And that's all we want to do.
I agree, man. I mean, no matter where I live, and I've lived in New York, I've lived, I live in LA right now. I always feel like, the Bay is always my home. And I always try to represent the Bay. When I did the American Gangster episode on, Mac Dre, or when I did, Ghost Ride the Whip, or when I interview the E40s or the Richie Riches or the Too Shorts, it's like, that's the stuff that really matters the most to me.
Right.
Because the Bay will always be my home.
Yeah.
There's something in that culture, in that air, in that water that really just gets under your skin and, makes you want to, be proud of where you come from.
There you go.
You know what I'm saying? And like I said, I'm glad to be mentioned in the hip hop world as, being Absolutely. From the Bay. And, basketball, you absolutely put the Bay on the map. You know what I mean? So like I said, man, truly appreciate you coming in. And I can't wait to, all the other stuff you got coming, the weed business and the tech company and everything else like that. I feel like you're just getting started.
Thank you. I appreciate it, Vlad. I appreciate you having me on there.
Peace.
Peace.